Hello. So, if you're watching this, I assume you saw the title. Uh, yeah, this video will be different for sure. I just wanted to get this off my chest. So, I had this friend, and we'll call him we'll call him Stinky. And so I was on Discord call with Stinky. Me and him were hanging out, and he had this random idea to get me. Well, first he asked if I knew how to like blur images. And then I said yes. And then he said something like, so what if we drew. Okay, and there were two other friends involved in this, and I'll call them J and M for now. But he said you should draw J and M having intercourse and then blur the dirty parts. So obviously, I was just like, oh. So I messaged J and that Stinky told me to do this. Uh, so I was very uncomfortable and did not know how to really react at the time. So let's let's see here. So I was so then Jay messaged me back at some point. Uh, well, first M answered, and M said, let's see, I'm scrolling up to the DMs. So M joined the call after seeing it because they, I called, I told Stinky I had to go for a sec and then called M and we I talked. I just told them to read their DMs because I hadn't do that yet, and then I said I had to go and call Stinky again. So I did, and at some point M joined call and just muted to eavesdrop. And uh, it's not too important to the story, but M uses they them pronouns, and when I said that, uh, Stinky corrected me to she because transphobic, I guess. But um, so then Jay wasn't home yet, so I messaged him and all of that stuff. And then when he got home, he joined the call and said he had to go for a sec and muted. And during this time, he was just listening and he was like giving me stuff to like say to like try to like obviously he wanted like evidence, but the point is, Stinky was telling me to draw NSFW of two of my friends who are both minors. Um, so I was uncomfortable, and I said, no, that's a bad idea after I reacted with, like, oh. So at this point, like, M and J are both on the call muted. Once J joins, M leaves. Um, but Jay's just sort of listening, and um, okay. So our plan was to, like, talk about similar things to try to get him to bring it up and see how he'd react and stuff. But during the time that Jay was going home to join call, like, Stinky was talking about murdering his brother, and, like, how I understand, like, jokingly want to kill your sibling, just like all that, but he said he was saying that he genuinely wanted to murder his brother, and that he's, like, wanted to do it for a while. So Jay joins and just sort of eavesdrops. So he tells me to ask about, like, his the people in this group chat, and then he says, I don't he says something like, I don't know, I don't know them in real life or whatever, so I can't be their friends. And I'm just like, okay, that's kind of fine. And I said, what about M? And he says, I've only really played with them through Minecraft. I've only really played with her through Minecraft. Gotta remember that he used wrong pronouns intentionally. Um, and then I ask, what about them in specific? And he sort of goes like, I don't. He says something about Molly being a woman and how that makes her inferior. And I'm just like, first off, they aren't even a woman. And second off, that's that's just really sexist. And then um Jay, so randomly he brings up the topic of, like, gay people, and he says, I know you're gay, but you're better than most. First off, I'm not even gay, and second off, what does he mean I'm better than most? Like, okay. So then, obviously, that's, like, crazy. Um, so around this point, he's complaining to his brother for, like, sucking at a game or, like, COD or whatever. And I'm just like, let him play it the way it's fun for him. So then, hi. So then Jay tells me to try to get him to say something, like, super weird, and then I can't I can't remember exactly, but I can't remember. But Jay tells me about one time Stinky's brother tried to, like, give him money, and then he just, like, screamed at him. So clearly he and his brother aren't, like, the best of friends. But okay. he says, so Jay leaves for a bit, and Stinky says, "You can't have friends if you haven't seen their face." And then I said something like, "What about me?" And he says, "That's different because he's seen my face through like pictures and all that stuff." So Jay says, "Not when you first met, but before," which is a good point because before we had first met, this dude was already being like super friendly and sharing the kind of stuff you wouldn't tell just like a stranger. So like then he says like so then I say like, "What's the weirdest thing you've ever thought?" And then Jay tells me to say, "Just give me a hint," and then he shares the full thing. Um and then he says he says some stuff that I can't repeat on YouTube. Um, and then he threatens that if he doesn't respond, if we tell anyone, he would respond by burning down Jay's house. So at this point, I'm just like, this guy's a freak. And then at some point, so Jay has already returned to like call at this point, and he's like talking now. So now we're trying to see if like how weird this guy really is. So at some point he brings up the J and M intercourse thing with Jay right here, and then Jay says like Jay and I are like trying to agree with him, but we both know we're both uncomfortable. And he's just like, "Well, it's not sex if you can't see the parts," or whatever. And it's like it doesn't matter what you see. What matters is that you're imagining two minors, one of which who is asexual, having sex, and so Jay so at some point Stinky leaves and Jay and I are just like talking about what just happened. Uh and Jay says that one time he said an 8-year-old at a park made him horny, and I'm just like, "What?" And I don't know. So he says he doesn't he says, so we ask, "Do you ever think?" So Stinky has a girlfriend of his own. So obviously Jay and I ask, "Well, do you imagine about that stuff with your own girlfriend?" And then he says no. But week one of like me met him, we were playing Minecraft, and he randomly brings up him having sex with his girl, which, by the way, is just first off like very don't don't share that stuff with just random people. And second off, it didn't even happen. So like there was absolutely 0 point in him saying that. Um he based around this point he basically admitted to wanting to touch children. He basically says he's going to be he admits to like wanting to be basically a pedophile when he grows up. So I'm just very uncomfortable. And not only does he say that, but he also says he wants to like I can't say the word on YouTube, but he wants to like he wants to he wants to do he want whatever. He wants to I don't I don't know if I can whatever. He basically said he wants to rape people and I don't I don't know at this point. So that's about the end of it right now. But that night, I it took me a while to like fall asleep, cause I was just like, on one hand, this guy's insane. I need to cut off ties with him, and on the other hand, um, like this guy's crazy enough to actually burn down Jay's house. So yesterday morning, I blocked him on everything and cut off ties. So, um, yeah. But, and so far nothing's happened to Jay, and, um, Jay and to my knowledge, both are fine now. And, uh, I think they're okay, but, um, yeah. Sorry for the video being so different, and I don't know if I'm comfortable with like fully sharing everything that happened. Uh, I could, I might make it like a separate video sometime saying more stuff that happened, but um, yeah, yep, um, yeah, I I don't even know if I'll edit this video or like add gameplay or anything. I just I just don't know. Sorry for uh sorry for sorry for stuttering so much and all that. I already have a stutter and this video was extremely uncomfortable to make. But hopefully talking about this will I don't know. I hopefully talking about this just gets something off my chest and yeah. Um yeah. I guess I don't I don't know what else to really say. Yeah, I I just hope that everyone involved in this whole thing gets is okay, and yeah. I'll update in community posts if anything happens. But yeah, see ya.